Hey team, and welcome back to It's a Cold World. So today we had some breaking news. The Opals team was selected for the World Cup qualifier. So although Australia has already qualified, they still obviously go to this tournament and it's great preparation for them. So from the WNBL, who's currently playing from Perth, we have Ali Wilson. From the UC Caps, we have Zatina Akuzo and Jade Melbourne. From the Townsville Fire, Alex Fowler. Bendigo Spirit, Isabel Borlase. The Flyers, Kayla George. And Adelaide, Steph Talbot. So a few girls in the WNBL who will be in that World Cup qualifying tournament. So cannot wait to watch. But a few things to take away from this round. There was one game that was super special, and that was the Sydney Flames and the Sydney Kings coming together, and they had a pink hoops round in the legacy and the honor of Tiana Mangakahia. So it was a very emotional round, but it was filled with love. It was also raising awareness and raising funds for the McGrath Foundation. I commentated that game. It was a really beautiful game to be a part of, to remind everyone of Tiana's amazing legacy. And it was Alex Chi-Batoni who won the Tiana Game MVP and received a pink ball. And Tiana is someone who started this and wanted this to go on after her. So an amazing time to be a part of. And again, you can still donate now to the McGrath Foundation. Then it was the Perth Lynx who, boy, oh boy, did they send a message to the league with a statement blowout game against the Southside Melbourne Flyers. 111-79. It was an amazing game, and Annalie Maley, Ali Wilson, and Alex Chi-Batoni, they were absolute standouts. If you haven't watched it, rewind and go, because there was some talent on display there. And then, of course, we're speaking about talent, then you can't not talk about Isabel Borlase. So she's had an amazing season and is definitely, I want to say, first contender right now to get that MVP. And she's on a historic scoring run in her last 3 games. She had that amazing 42-point game, followed up by 33, and then, of course, another 23 points. And then one of her other teammates, Kelsey Griffin, she's still continuing to show why she's a legend of the league. She had a great double-double with 20 points, 14 rebounds against their Caps win. And her leadership was the difference between Bendigo winning in those dying moments against the UC Caps, where there were 17 lead changes. That's insane. And that's why I'm so excited to have the KG23 chat with us today. She's done it all. She's a WNBL 5-time champion. She's a WNBL MVP, came runner-up to her that year. She got me. And then WNBL defensive player. And now this year, she also got WNBL Life membership for hitting 250 games. So KG, welcome to the show. KG, thanks so much for coming on my show today. Honestly, you inspire me when I listen to you talk in post-game interviews. You inspire me on the floor, aging like a fine wine, getting better and better. How are you today?
I'm good, but I appreciate you fight the good fight and what you're doing and sharing people's stories and how you've been an ambassador for the game on and off. So I feel very honored to be here. Thanks for inviting me on.
Oh, stop. I'm blushing. Okay, we need to speak about you. You're our very special guest. So I just spoke about earlier your amazing win against the Caps. It had so many lead changes, but obviously you're one of the most incredible leaders that either coaches want to have, teammates want to have. I think it's like really incredible. How do you lead a team in those tight situations and keep everyone together and not lose their heads or get real tight? Tell me, how do you do it?
That's a really great question, but to be honest, like I've learned so much from this group. I think like once we found it out that Tolo was pregnant, which is incredible personal news that was going to lead a huge, gap. 3-time Olympian, legend of the game, one of the best centers to ever play for Australia. I had to really think about how I wanted to approach and her and Jack were honest from the very beginning, like that this was a real possibility if everything went well. Would we maybe be able to find a replacement? So it was basically just going to be a season of uncertainty. And I realized that really quickly, everyone was going to be looking to me and how I handled it. And the reality was is that I came back because I wanted to be able to work with this group and to get to high 250. And what I didn't expect was to experience as much success as early as we did in tight games as well. And I think through those trials and early days, and then especially after Tolo, where we just kind of stayed the course and just relied on our defense and no one got rattled, it led me to trust the team. And so I think it was almost like this snowball effect where they looked to me to lead them. And then I also built a lot of trust because like it just kept showing up. And I truly believed that I couldn't be outcome focused. Like I couldn't be worried about results because the reality was the odds are stacked against us. And so if I went to every game thinking like statistically what's going to happen, like, oh, this doesn't look really great for us on paper. It's going to be a rough season, right? But if I'm like, okay, if I go to these games and I say, okay, how can I help these, basically you have debutantes, like fresh newbies to the league, along with Abby. And I think hopefully we'll talk a fair bit about Abby's leadership, but basically it was just like, I could just show them what it takes and not be like really focused on the outcome. Just show them what it takes. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, we're learn from it. And just that's going to be the repetitive messaging all year long. This is what it takes to do it. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. If it doesn't happen, what can we learn from it? Yeah, look, I'd be lying if I said I expect it to be where we are, but I'm truly thrilled we are where we are.
And just like you said, I feel like each season is different with who your team is, the situation, whatever it is. And there's so many different ways to lead. And it might be different what you give night in, night out. But is there something that you pride yourself on most in the way that you lead?
I think for me, it's in preparation. And really loving practice is probably the wrong way to look at it. But it's like really like showing up at practice, like really believing we'll practice how we play. And I don't know if we were from the start a great practicing team. And it was something that really probably frustrated me a bit. And so it was figuring out how to communicate the importance of practicing to my teammates. And that comes with experience and an experience. And I think once I was able to help the group understand, like, this is the only time I really get to problem solve with you to understand what's going to work in games. And I need everyone to be invested in this. And I think with that, I think everyone's starting to understand, and that's now transferred into success. Whereas last year, we had so much experience. We could literally come, and it was either Kelly, BB, or Sammy saying, hey, this is what's happened, do this. We're like, yep, sweet, let's do that. So whereas this year, I come to the huddle and everyone's just looking at me like, and I'm like, all right, let's figure this out, and then Abby will come up with something which is great. And like, but it's also been really refreshing. Like, they just want to be great. Like, it's so fun to be around so many like aspiring athletes who just want to be great. And they're not out stat chasing. They're not out chasing on board. They're not out chasing social media, external validation. It's like, they just genuinely want to be great. And it's so cool. I feel so lucky to be part of this team.
And you can tell with the way you guys play with one another. Like, I love looking at your bench because your bench, literally everyone is so pumped for each other. Or if you like throw a really good pass to Meg McConnell and she hits it, she's pointing at you. Like, my favorite thing is to point at someone who just did something really good for me or my teammate. And I love watching it. And I think, to me, that's why you guys are so good, because your culture is built and you are happy for one another. Like, you couldn't care. You couldn't give a F if I scored 2 points. But hey, I defended my ass off and I stopped their teammate. And I had 4 players who played so good tonight. And I love seeing that. So what's been your favorite part of leading this young group? Because like you said, you have a few debutantes. You have some still in their early, mid-20s. Like, you're still babies. Yeah.
I was happy Abby had a birthday just after Christmas, so she entered her 30s because I was just floating around on my own. To be honest, my favorite part is probably exactly what you talked about. Like, when someone else hits a big shot, like, everyone gets excited, more excited for them than they are themselves. Like, I think that's the really cool thing is everyone's genuinely invested in each other. And it wasn't something I had to preach. It wasn't something that we had to sit down and have a talk about. It was like from day dot, you know, like there was a story of preseason, right? So like Izzy scored 5 buckets and she's just on a roll, and then she turns the ball over, and I said, "What, are you scoring too much?" And it's like, "What's the problem here?" You know, like, and it was just, and it was great because there was this, she had this like, I guess, uncertainty about like what she needed to be for her team, and it was early, it was preseason still. And I was like, I'll tell you when you're being selfish. You don't have to worry about it. And like, I haven't had to tell her once, right? Like, and so that's the whole thing, right? So you've got this amazing up and coming star, and she's worried about taking too many shots, like in practice. Like, she's worried about in practice taking too many shots. And like, so to be able to be like, just let the reins off and say, go be great. Like, how lucky am I? And that's not just Izzy, that's Polly, KR, but everybody, you know, getting to be like, hey, go be great. And it's super fun.
And I think you can tell because even when the other girls on your team get interviewed, they just say how much confidence you've instilled with them. And you can tell, like, let's talk about Kelsey Reese as well as Liv Pollard. Nobody expected that. And I just like love how happy both those girls are when they play basketball, but they can tell it came from you. And I think a lot of people don't understand that doesn't happen often, where your captain or your vet is just instilling you with that much power to go out, play your role, do what you do. How proud are you of these girls? And are you shocked at all with, like you said, Tolo, amazing, being pregnant, your post buddy inside, but she's gone. Now they have to step up. What's it been like?
I think like it's twofold, right? Like, one thing, Jacqueline McKendy went away and recruited great, right? Like, to your point, like no one was probably speaking about Kelsey or Polly in the preseason, you know, like I don't know how heavily recruited they were, but I'm guessing most coaches weren't expecting them to have the seasons they were, except for maybe Jacqueline and Kennedy. So a credit there, because it's easy for me to instill confidence in talented players. Like, the worst thing I could do is to make someone who probably has a lower ceiling think that I can inflate them into something they're probably not going to be, because that's setting them up for failure. But when I first saw Liv rip left in preseason and like basically at the rim, I was like, oh my gosh, she's an athlete. And like, she's a shooter, but like she does that. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like the threshold. Like, her potential was so high. And after our preseason tournament, she was just beating herself up. Like, she was so hard on herself. And I was like, Polly, hey, you get to be inconsistent. This is your first year.
Yeah.
You only get to be inconsistent for like 3
It's
years.
capped.
Yeah. And then like everyone expects you to be a double-double. You know, if you're not a double-double, you're old and washed up, right? So like, that's the thing where I was like, you get to be inconsistent. Me and Tolo have to be perfect. It's our job. That's why we're, you know, recruited to do what we do. We have to be perfect. You get to make mistakes here. Like, just made mistakes, but your effort and intent is so great. And so I knew that she had it, and it was just her believing in herself. And I think what's so cool is everyone's gotten around her. Like, is that everyone gotten around Polly, and especially I think Izzy and KR living together with Polly has just been great. And Kelsey Reese is actually an incredibly confident shooter. Like, she came in and she was like, she was like, so is Kenny going to tell me when to shoot, or like, how does this work here? And I was like, hey, if you're a shooter, shooter's got to shoot. And like, enough said. Like, she was like, that's what she is. And so, for Kelsey, it was a bit tough because she rolled her ankle real bad right before the start of preseason. And so she was about 5-6 weeks of like injury management, and Tola was playing some of the best basketball that I've seen her play as of late. And so Kelsey was having to battle with like prime Tolo, and Tolo was putting work. And it was great though, because Tola's the kind of leader who, while she's dominating you, still makes you feel great about yourself in some magical way. And so I feel like in that sense, she really helped Kels understand what it's going to take defensively to be in this league, but then also offensively what she can do. And so whilst Tola at the time didn't know she was transitioning her into that role, like, and then Mechu didn't find out. So I think those two in particular, very different paths to where they got to, but could be more happy for them.
And I'm just laughing because them right now will be hating that they have to match up on you two every single day of training. But future them will be so blessed that that's who they had, because you two are absolute professionals, top of your game athletes still. And yeah, like you said, you're leaving training like, oh, again. But future them will be very happy. And then we need to speak about also, obviously, Ball Ace is having an amazing season, super consistent, but she's also developed over the season. How do you think this has allowed her to go to new heights?
Yeah, this is awesome. Like, I wasn't really sure what to make of Izzy. Obviously, I played against her. We're both, not very active on social media, so there's not really, we're both pretty closed books, so there's not really, I had really didn't know what to think. But Janmo was raving about her, and, and Kennedy as well, obviously, and I really trust Janmo. He's got an eye for talent, and, the fact that she wanted to come here, but not just that she wanted to come here, she wants to come here because she has, big aspirations playing in the WBAD and Opal. And so the fact that she thought coming and learning from me at Toll and Kennedy would put her in a position to do that, obviously feels great. And I wanted to live up to my end of the deal. And so it was really great once she got here. She figures her pretty quiet, which is understandable. And then I think it was the first thing I realized is I needed to let her know she could trust me. Like, that's the first thing that you can do, right? Especially with young people. Imports as well, I feel like that's a really big thing too. When imports come out here, is like building that relationship piece, because it doesn't matter what I say, there's no relationship there. It's not going to work. And so it was like over time, Izzy started to, and then I also didn't want to overwhelm her. Like, I could tell a long story. Izzy's a one-word person. So it's one of those things that I was like, I didn't want to throw all of these things at her and like overwhelm her as well. And so as time like kind of kept going, and we started to get to know each other better, and we had 6 preseason games. We were on the rookies. So I think that forced a lot of team bonding. And as Izzy started to come out of her shell, I understood that she actually is a little bit of a troll. Like, she's a little bit of a menace, likes to tease people, which is fantastic because I love to tease people. Like, it's like my love language, much to Erin's dismay and my wife's dismay. And so as soon as I started realizing that, like, I could hang shit on Izzy and she could hang shit on me, and I could talk a fair shit to her at practice and games and things like that, that really, I think, is when our relationship blossomed. And so through that, then being able to build rapport on the court, or saying, hey, I'm seeing this, doesn't mean you have to do it. This is what I'm seeing. Hey, when you're coming off ball screens, this is how they're defending you. If you want, you got this, but also you're studs, so do whatever you want. I'm just letting you know that this is here. Or like, hey, 3 Galati, you still score, fantastic. If you want only one person on you, you could do this. But like, hey, you do what you got to do. But so I think that's then the really fun part too, is because she knows I have her best interest in mind, and either she has lofty goals, and I've been there I've never been to Olympics, but I've been to the WNBA and you play over there, and so I understand what it takes and what it could be like. So the other part is try to prepare as much as I can for that, mentally as well as physically. But I just loved every minute of it, and I still think she's only like scratched the surface, which is scary to think about, because legit, I think there's still a lot more that she can develop in.
And honestly, took the words right out of my mouth. Your pedigree and the caliber of play that you are, you've done all the things. You've represented the Opals, star of the WNBL, present, future, now, whatever you want to call it, everything. And then Izzy still has those goals of WNBA, WNBL, Opals, exactly what you've done. What's the best piece of advice that you think you've given her?
Oh, that's a good one.
You're like, I'm actually filled with too many. I can't even
I'm actually be interested to see what Izzy would say. To be honest, that's what I was thinking. It's like, I think I know what I think that she needs to hear, but I'm actually interested to know what Izzy thinks. I think one of the things that I've tried to, like, it's still in all of them, like Kelsey, Polly, and is like, know your worth. Like, know your worth, know who you are, know you're talented. And if that changes, it may be due to circumstance more than you. Now, that's not to say you can't grow. That's not to say you can't develop. That's not to say coaches and teammates can't help you and challenge you in ways. But I think just really being confident in who you are and what you're about is really important.
Yeah.
And then whether you make a team, whether you play big minutes, like just knowing your worth. And I think that's something I didn't know early on in my career, was trying to really prove it and seek external validation instead of knowing it at my core. And so that's something I try, especially when we're into the WBA, because it's so situational. Helping them to be really clear on that. And it's WDL for Polly and KR too.
Yeah. And you recently also hit a great milestone of 250 games this season. You're a life member. How did that feel? Because that's such an amazing achievement.
Yeah, I think I didn't really think much of it until I was in it. And like, I was also like, I'd been told I was pregnant for a long time. So then she was saying we weren't going to do it. Like, but we weren't going to do it together. And I was like, we are doing this together. Yeah. And she was like, we are not. And I was like, oh no, we are. There was this like, your obstetrician has said you can play until you're 4 months pregnant. Like, we will get you on the line. You don't have to run back in transition defense. I love that. It's okay, kind of thing. And so there was this whole like, will she play? Will she not play? And she's like, no, I want it to be all about you. And I was like, Tolo, like, how much more special can it be that I get to celebrate with you? Like, and so once that was finally like, she was finally on board with that. It was incredible, overwhelming. Ari had reached out to a lot of former teammates of mine, and they did a video, and so I bawled during that. Like, it was pretty special, because most everyone said how it impacted them personally more so than my basketball career, and I think that's what means the most to me, is that how I've impacted them on a human to keep them level more so on a basketball level, which is what I'm really trying to do. Basketball is just the vehicle, so that was really special. And it was Tola's last game, potentially the last game I would play with her. So for a lot of reasons, very, very special.
And you as well are in still such great form, still, averaging the double-double. And you've done so much in your career. What still keeps you motivated to get going? Because not many people last a long time, can actually get up, keep doing it, and perform.
Yeah, it's a really good question. I realized probably after my whole like Opal's disappointment, I would say, like, and frustration with like the situation that I was in, where it was like potentially talented enough to make it, but because they didn't need player in my position because they're so talented in the 4 spot and needed point guards, like and like not really breathing and mourning that process, and just being kind of angry and just pushing myself harder and trying to work harder to prove my worth. Really led to burnout, and like I was really not in a good way. And so from that, and working with a sports site, I realized I need to be really clear on my why and my purpose and why I'm doing what I'm doing. And so instead of seeking validation or seeking selection or seeking awards, like that was so out of my control. Whilst it was an incredible motivator and led me to quote unquote my most successful year in 2018, it came at such a high personal cost that it wasn't sustainable. And so every year I've had to be really clear about why. It couldn't be something like winning a championship, or it couldn't be something like Opal, whatever it was, something out of my control. And so the 3-year deal in Bendigo came around being wanting to be around family after COVID, and like really wanting to try to build the program back to what I thought it could have been. And do it by the legends who had played here before, and the amazing sponsors who were here. Now, the whole reason we won a championship last year, which was amazing. It was a great time to hang it up and say thank you to WBL and the basketball for what you've done in my life, and start a new chapter. And then realized I was 7 games short of 250, and he told us, because I broke my finger, would be up the same. You're on the same numbers. We're like, what are the chances for? And so this whole season was around doing the 250. And then once we got the roster together and is signed, I was like, oh, this can be a really great year where I could just say, here, take everything that I've learned, take it or leave it, whatever you want, and they'll have amazing career. And so this season has been more about trying to, like, I guess, about sounding too cliche, impart legacy, like instill in others what's helped me to be successful. They can take it or leave it and go off and do that and have incredible careers, whether they do it like me or completely different. Just having that, I guess, as their first year to know what can be. And I think that's why I'm so proud of this season more than our win-loss record. While our win-loss record will validate it, I think the environment we created for people to be great is something that that's what I'm most proud of. And so they know now that that's possible. So on every team they go to, they could be a part in making that type of culture because it is possible.
Mm-hmm. And I think because of what you guys have built together this season, I think a lot of people, once Tolo said she was out, would be like, nah, Bendigo, they're not going to make finals. You've proven everyone wrong. You're second on the ladder right now. We're about to head into finals. How important, especially with Townsville and Perth, teams that are on, opposite places in Australia, how important is it for you now to have home court advantage? Because we're still fighting for that. There's a couple games left.
Absolutely. Home court advantage is so important. But if I start worrying about that kind of stuff, I'm completely disregarding everything that's gotten us to where we are now, right? And so it's been a battle for me mentally to not like get frustrated and upset or irritated about things because I'm like, oh, we have a chance to do this. Like, because that was never the original why. It's like, oh, wait, my why is not win a championship. It's like, no, that can't, just because you're experiencing success, you can't now change that because that's not what actually got you success. And so I've had to like check myself, have some serious conversations with myself about how I want to continue to lead this group. And that's really being process orientated. As it sounds cheesy, but that's really what it is. It's like, hey, can we be great playing this long? Can we lock in this gap? Can we make in-game adjustments? Hey, can we be great against Curtis? Can we, adapt to their zone? Can we find the open player? Can we lock down our defense, execute scout? Hey, against Townsville, can we, whatever it is, that's what's gotten us here is really doing those things. And so if we start worrying about home court, worrying if we lose this, worrying if we give up this, I think that's that out of our control type stuff. We just have to take it one game at a time. Otherwise, because no one on the team except for a few of us have been there, especially now with Micah getting injured, like it's just going to lead to too much epic uncertainty, which isn't where people thrive.
And like you said, you're process driven, not focusing about the outcome, but is the vibe within the team, is everyone sort of excited that you're getting closer? And like you said, some haven't experienced this before. And I feel like we're very similar. Like, I love a big stage. I love an atmosphere. Like, I thrive off it. I feel like you just get everyone else's energy, especially being in Bendigo. Your community just gets around you. Like, what's the vibe within the group right now?
Our vibe's just, this is us all season. Like, I'm like, there was a few warm-ups where I was like, I'm going to have to bring him in and yell at him for not talking. And then, like, as he goes out and scores 30, and I'm like, okay, Dip, you want to have to count in more buffs. All right, fair enough. So this has been a season where I'm like, our warm-up was awful. Like, oh my God, we're going to be terrible. We're going to be flowery. And then all of a sudden go out and have a great game. And then there's a warm-up where we're all hyped up and everyone's, amped up. And then we start at 0-10. And so it's been a really great year for me. It's been a really great season for me to meet people with where they're at. Instead of saying, I know best. This is the cookie cutter bowl. This is what we have to do. This is how we have to do it. It's more being like, okay, I've told them we need to be great from the get-go. Everyone needs to be locked in. They know that.
Yeah.
If this is how they're locked in warm-ups, even though it's not how I would like locked in warm-ups to look like, and then they go out and they play well, then they execute and they talk and do things, okay, that's what it is. And so I think it's been a really good year for me in learning to be like, no, you don't have to do it my way. I do know how to do it, but that doesn't mean it's the only way to do it. And so that's been really good for me too.
And then obviously the Bendigo community, everyone gets around each other. We have to shout out to your wife, Erin, as well. #1 supporter. I loved her t-shirt she wore the other day. I bought my partner one so he doesn't forget who I am. They're the best. But how much does their support mean to you and what you do as well as a team?
It's huge. I think, I'm sure Townsville would be the same. Getting to play in a regional play, Joel say regional places you just had this connection that's quite special. And the same people that show up to the game are the same people you see at the supermarket, or at the shops. And so it's just this real sense of community, to your point.
Yeah.
And I think for me in particular, like, Bendigo is such a special place to me because he came into my life at a crossroads when I first came out to Australia. And so, being able to represent and bring Bendigo back into finals now for the second year in a row after such a long stint without being in finals, is better than I could have ever dreamed it to be when Aaron and I decided to come back. And so the fact that we will be playing at least a home final here in Bendigo, and continuing to show what can be here in a regional community, and what's possible, for all of, it's that basketball from junior basketball, like, is mad here. So to be able to, show little girls and boys it can be. Melbourne United came, which was great as well, down and play here. So to get Bendigo on the national stage in that way, is super special. And so, yeah, very excited about it.
And then last question I have for you, because you are the lady of wisdom, I would like you to give maybe one piece of advice or something that you've been told that you find that you live by, whether that be on the court or off the court, for these next generation of hoopers who are coming through the ranks.
Oh, this is okay. So this is something that I live by now, and it's gonna be long. So they're gonna have to end this, cut it up. I'm not sure because I could possibly do it succinctly in a couple of words. But I think for so long of my life, in junior basketball and then early professional basketball, I wanted to be a great teammate. Being a great teammate was put at a premium for every coach that I played for, and so it's giving of yourself for others to make others better. And also being coachable. So, listening to your coach and doing what your coach says and being coachable. And those are the two things that consistently throughout my career, was harped on. And I was so grateful for it because I think it really helped me to empathize and appreciate those around me and being a part of a team sport, which is why I love playing basketball, because the people I get to do it. However, there's a caveat to that. The reason I'm able to do what I do now is because I do everything for myself. And now that sounds really selfish and completely opposite to what being a great teammate would be. Now, when I say I do things for myself, it's not saying that I go and I make that bucket because I'm doing it for myself. But when I go to the weight room, I go to the weight room in Lipton because I want to be as strong as I can be and live as long and healthy as possible. When I go and get extra shots up, it's because I want to be great. And I want to be able to impact the game in a positive way for my teammates around me. When I go train, I train as hard as I can because I'll be the best version of myself. And so for me, what I would encourage young athletes to think about, and that is what mindfulness training out there, there's a lot of journaling and things out there, is finding this balance between being a great teammate, being really coachable, but then also, or maybe, be a great teammate, you're really coachable, and do it for yourself so you can be as great as possible, because I did so many things seeking coach validation, seeking external validation, and when it did happen, it got resentment and burnout. And now I can do things and still it's the exact same thing, looks the exact same, no one would know except for what's happening upstairs. Is my motivation is for me and wanting to be great so that I can make others great around me. And so I think it's just finding that balance. And if you can do that in your teens and 20s, you're incredible. It took me to 30 to 35, 38 to be able to figure that one out.
That's why, kids, listen to the teacher right now. But KG23, thank you so much for your time. You're a legend of the game. You're such a great leader, great teammate, and I know anyone would be lucky to listen to this, gain so much knowledge from it. And I wish you and the Bendigo Spirit the best of luck come finals. Can't wait to watch what happens, but thanks so much, KG. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Beck. I really appreciate what you're doing. Keep sharing everyone's story. It's so important, the work that you're doing. So thanks so much for having me. Keep it up.
No, I appreciate it. And everyone else, thanks for tuning in. See you next week. It's a cold world.